Y'all excuse my technical difficulties. Come on in the room. We're going to try this again. Good evening. Come on. Hope everybody's doing well on this Saturday. Y'all come on in. Let's get started. This is the third night of our revival. On last night, my brother, Apostle Eddie Johnson, led night number 2 of the revival. And we thank God for the word that he shared and for the things that God is doing within us and for us as we continue to plow. My hands are made to plow. My hands are made to plow. Y'all come on in if you don't mind and just share this video. Appreciate you on tonight. I know it's a Saturday night and you got a whole lot of other stuff you could be doing. So I thank God that you're on here with us tonight, that you've taken time out of your schedule to join us. So come on in. We're just sharing the video right now. As you enter in, if you'll take time to share, please. We're going to come out of the book of Corinthians, 1 Corinthians. So good evening to everyone that's tuning in. Please go ahead and share this video. We are talking about my hands were made to plow. And this is night number 3. If you can hear me clearly, please give me some hearts up, send some thumbs up, send something up and let me know that my audio is good. And we will go right into the word. We're going to come out of 1 Corinthians chapter number 9. For those of you who have your Bibles, I will not be before you long on tonight. This is a building for a 7-day revival that God laid upon my heart. So we're now on day number 3, and I'm excited about what the Lord wants to share with us. We're talking about plowing and what it means to put our hands to the plow. And on the first night, we talked about the ability to take the hands and lay them on the heads of others to help them and to offer a handshake that would give them power and give them life and pull them, let the spirit begin to activate and pull them out of the things that were holding them bondage. So on tonight, we're going to talk about the hands that are made to plow. And we're looking at the word maintenance and what happened. Even on my video, it was quite interesting when I did my, not the video, excuse me, the flyer. When I looked at the flyer, the words maintenance were still present. Lawn maintenance was something that was still attached on there. Hi, Sister Irene, how are you? And as I was looking at that video, at the flyer, and I saw maintenance, God began to speak to me because I was trying to correct it. I was going to delete it. And he said, no, ma'am, you will not delete that. That's part of what you're going to teach from. So tonight we're going to talk about maintenance, lawn maintenance. We're talking about a plow, which is a tool that's used by farmers to plant seed. It's a tool that's used to lay root into the ground and begin to turn the ground over to make the soil fresh. It pulls the nutrients up to the top of the soil. So when you think about your hands, many of us work with our hands, and you're usually creating something, or you're giving out something, or you're writing something, or somehow you're pushing the things that you have been given to do. So when we think about my hands were made to plow, they're actually used as something that breaks up what is the norm. It creates out of an atmosphere of something that has been thought-provoking. We all know there's a time when you brainstorm, and when you brainstorm, you sit down and you focus on an idea and you begin to write down the things that you're hearing. You don't necessarily organize them at that time, but you start to build on them as you gain knowledge and wisdom about that particular topic. So we're talking about the plow and what it means to turn over the soil, to get to the root of things that are within you so that you can plant a fresh seed, so that you can have a new start and a new harvest. And you would think that this is out of season, exactly like my big brother Apostle Eddie Johnson said on last night. You know, who plows in the wintertime? But sometimes your best seed gets planted in the winter because it's ready for the spring. Come on, somebody. It's going to spring forth suddenly. When you least expect it, things will begin to spring out of the atmosphere. You'll look up and you'll find a harvest right before you. Even thinking about Christmas, when I was I'm still in a mode where I celebrate Christmas, but when we were younger, I'll put it that way, as children, we looked forward to Christmas because we knew we would get a whole bunch of gifts. Come on, somebody. And see, I'm one of those persons. I'm a December baby. So as a December baby, my gifts would come for my birthday and also come for Christmas. So I was really excited as a child to realize that both of my holiday celebrations were right there together. So I would make a list for birthday and I would make a list for Christmas. As I got older, when I first started out, I would just make a general list. So I had these petitions before the people, right? Come on, somebody. We're going to have fun tonight. I had a petition before the people, just as we put a petition before God. And if you think about your own children, they write lists. They tell you what they want. My son, one of them, is actually a December baby. So he writes his list, or he'll text me and say, hey, Mom, these are the things that I want. I already know what you're going to get me for Christmas. It's usually this, this, and this. And he knows what to expect. He knows that his birthday is his birthday. And even though it's in December, we still give him those things that he's worthy of for his birthday. So when you think about the plowing and the upturning of things that are good, why would you not have an expectation for God to release something through your plowing that you've already done? See, sometimes we teach backwards. We've already plowed the field. We plowed the field earlier in the year. We began plowing in August. We began plowing in June and July. We began plowing when COVID came. We were bored, so people cleaned their yard. Come on, I can't hear anybody today. They were planting flowers. I remember going to get something from Home Depot. It was something that we needed for the house. And I remember walking through the store and seeing people out in the gardening area, and they were getting mulch and things that they needed to put in the lawn. So that harvest was beginning to ripen. Even at that point, it was beginning to take shape and form and fashion as they were working and toiling the soil that was in their own lawn. So it looks to me like they were doing a little maintenance. Can somebody help me today? Can you help me with my topic on today? Were we doing a little maintenance during COVID when we were buying the things to pretty up the yard just to clean it up? It hadn't been done in years, and COVID afforded us a time to be at the house where people were outside just to get a reprieve from being in quarantine. They would go in their yards and begin to work and begin to apply this soil and begin to plant fresh flowers and begin to shape things that would look differently. Remember, we started all of the quarantine in March, right after spring break. So it would make sense that people were still planting. Of course, we knew that what was coming was Easter. So people were preparing themselves for Easter and Good Friday, just as we did before, never expecting to be in quarantine this long. So when I started studying this, my hands were made to plow, and the lawn maintenance is what popped out at me. What I read was a lawn is an area of soil covered. It's a covered land that's planted with grass and other durable plants such as clover, which are maintained at a short height. So there was some trimming and some meticulous movement going on in the yard as they were mulching out the beds and putting around the protectors to keep the mulch inside of what would normally spill over because of the rain. So the maintenance and the upkeep, the support, the defense of what was being done was something that the people were working on. So we're coming out of 1 Corinthians chapter 9. I'm going to share the scripture with you. We've kind of built up and understand that tonight we're going to focus on the lawn maintenance. Okay. So we're coming from 1 Corinthians chapter number 9. Let's look at verse 9 and 10, and we'll move over to 16, and I'll probably go a little bit skipping around on that. But verse 9 and 10 are our key scriptures for tonight. For it is written in the law of Moses, thou shalt not muzzle the mouth of the ox that treadeth out the corn. Doth God take care for oxen? Doesn't he care for those that are his, those who are preaching his word, those that are sharing his gospel? Or saith he it altogether for our sakes, no doubt. This is written, that he that ploweth, there's that word, turn over things. He that began to break up the soil, he that began to lay hands and help people activate the Holy Spirit and to birth them into a place where they start to seek more of God. We talked about that on the first night. He that ploweth should plow in hope. Wait a second. There's a word. Plow in hope. Does that mean that they're looking for something? They have an anticipation. See, we shouldn't be thinking about the season as much as we are the possibility for God to overturn something, for him to produce something in this next season. There's a plow in hope. There's an anticipation. There's something about the lawn maintenance. You anticipate the next time that you'll have to cut it. You anticipate the time to put the flowers and where to put them in the yard. Some need shade. Some of them need more sun than others. Some of them may require more water than others. Some of them may not even be outside plants. So you have to be mindful when you're tilling the soil and when we're going out to plow through the people. What are they? Are they made for the house? Are they the outhouse people that like to go out and to do the ministry in the street? Are they the school evangelists? Are they one-on-one? What is it that they do? Where is it that they find themselves putting their hands to the plow? And that he that thirsteth in hope should be partaker of his hope. So the one that is looking for, who thresheth in hope, who's working in hope with an anticipating spirit, with the ability to see something else coming out of the harvest that they planted in, they should be the partaker of his own hope. So that means if I can't believe in my own vision and I can't believe in my own purpose, then why am I here? Why am I doing this? It's not in vain if it's done unto the Lord, but there should be something on the inside of me that's pulling me closer to want to do more for him, to want to dig and have a greater understanding of who he is and what it is that he does. So go with me now. Let's look at verse number 16. For though I preach the gospel, I have nothing to glory of, for necessity is laid upon me. Yea, woe is unto me if I preach not the gospel. If I fail to do the things that God has called me to do, that's my woe. That's my worry. That's my discomfort. That's my pain. People say, well, why is it that you're always doing a Facebook Live? Why is it that you're always posting something and all of your stuff has to do with Jesus? Because there's a burden that I carry for the spiritual things of God. There's a burden that I carry knowing that he delivered me, that he set me free, that he put me in a place where now I can understand what it means to completely rely on him, where I believe that he is my source and my revenue for everything that I desire to do, that he gives me ideas, he gives me creative wisdom in everything that I do. So when I'm doing that, I'm looking for my hope. I found a new hope in him. Whereas before it was a hope in things and materialistic stuff, jewelry and cars and houses and traveling, and all of that was exciting. But now that I found this God, I understand that I don't want to do any of that if I don't have him. So now my hope is anticipated on his presence being with me continuously, not leaving me to my own mind, but knowing that he's there with me and he's bringing me into an appointed time for my plow to produce the harvest. So for my plow to begin to show me fruit, for my plow to begin to actually let things bloom right in front of me, that I can see this is actually working, that I'm not laboring in vain, that somebody is taking the word and they're applying it to their life and they're feeling the better for it, that they're finding themselves in a better place, just as I did. Somebody plowed when it was my turn. Someone was coming and consistently pouring out to me. I was hungry for the word. I would watch various speakers and I would study the way that they taught and look up the words when they taught to me. And I would have my Bible to take notes as a guide and a reference, because I wanted to understand why they were plowing my field. Why were they in my business? Why was the Holy Spirit revealing the things that concerned me? Why was it that I had not released things to such a man or a woman, but yet they knew these things about me? We talked about that on Monday. For I do this thing willingly. So some of us are actually doing this because we want to. That's a tough word for somebody. We say, hey, I didn't sign up for this, but yet and still we did sign up for it because we were willing to go beyond the cross. We were willing to go beyond salvation and committing ourselves before all of mankind through baptism and through the confession of our own mouth. But we were willing to study and we were willing to be used by God to help bless someone else. We were willing to surrender and lay aside our own agenda to pursue his. And once you're willing to do that, then you're in a position where you're plowing. You're actually doing the work and the will of God. It says, for I do this thing willingly. I have a reward. Wait a second. Hold on. You mean there's a blessing in this? There's a blessing for me preaching the gospel. There's a blessing for me wanting to see others made whole, wanting to see them healed, wanting them to be in a place of peace and sanctity in their own mind and not be confused or tormented by the things of the enemy. You mean, wait a second, there is a place where that's happening? Yes, it says that there's a reward. But if against my will, hold on, there's that thing, when we're disobedient to mom and dad, when we disobey grandmother, when we disobey our siblings, there's something that happens in the dispensation. If we do it, of the gospel is committed unto me. If I fail to do this very thing, then I find myself in a state of depression. Come on. We know that suicide is real amongst leaders, and especially amongst pastors, especially when COVID was going on. We were hearing of the suicide that was taking place by the pastors, the ones who have relationship with God, who truly love him, were in a place where, because they couldn't fix it, we don't know why they took their life, but the stress, they couldn't handle it. Where is our solitude in him? Where is our solidarity in him? Where is the foundation that holds us up? Where is the very root of who he is in each and every one of our lives, that we desire to preach this thing? We desire to put our hands to the plow. We desire to hold on to the work and the labor that's been given to us, the title that's been bestowed upon us, that we're willing to study beyond our own fault and our own misunderstanding, to gain understanding and to gain wisdom. In all thy getting, get an understanding. In all the things that you ask for, seek wisdom, and let wisdom be your portion. Come on. It's Bible, y'all. It's where we're supposed to be in him. So we move on in verse number 18, and it says, what is my reward then? Verily that when I preach the gospel, I may make the gospel of Christ without charge, that I abuse not my power in the gospel, that I remain humble, even though I may know more than we say, even though we may feel like it was us. We're reminded that we are nothing without God. If God takes his spirit from us, you'll find that the anointing will lift. You'll find that we'll be human just like you, that there's nothing special that dwells in us after we've given the word, but that Holy Spirit leads us and guides us, and we're not any different. We're flesh and blood just like you, but we have a desire for God to enter us and to use us for his purpose, to plow into other people, to help them understand that there's something far greater than the situation that they're enduring. I hope that I'm helping someone on tonight. If you're studying along with me and you feel like this is helping you, somebody put on the screen, helping me. This is helping me. I'm feeling the knowledge and the wisdom. I'm growing in the things of God. I understand what this text means. Am I helping you on tonight? It's not just this text. It's the relationship with Christ. It's the ability to seek him wholeheartedly. What is my reward? For we continue to read, and it says that I abuse not my power in the gospel. But when we look at verse number 19, for though I be free from all men, yet have I made myself servant unto all, that I might gain the more. When I think about that, oftentimes we're in situations where we may appear to be in something that we're totally not, but because we trust God, we're willing to go where nobody else will go. Come on. We're willing to talk to the people that are difficult to talk to. Some people deal with type A folks. You know them. They're the ones with personality issues. Come on, somebody. Everything has to be exact facto. Come on. No, you're blanking out on me. I don't see anything going on the screen. But then we look again at the type B personality, which is that which is more laid back and lenient and more able to receive the things of God and understand the impartations that God has for us in a jovial manner, in a more laid back and relaxed atmosphere, where you may present in such things as productions and plays, or even in a script or some sort that may draw them closer. They don't have to be so rigid about life, that they're willing to let their hair down, and they're willing to understand that it's okay to take a walk through the park, that they understand that it's okay if we get together on a group of motorcycles, or now everybody's riding a little trike car. So we're on the three-wheeler and we're going down to Austin, and we're enjoying the beautification of what God has created for us. There's a time that we have to live, but that living does not come in a place where it's in vain. That living comes in a place where it displays the freedom of who we are, because our hands have been made to plow. Are you still with me on tonight? What is this reward? It's the ability for though I be free, me, myself, verse number 19, from all men, meaning I'm not partaken up by their comments or their suggestions or their opinions of me, their idealistic thoughts of who I am and what I do. That doesn't bother me anymore, because I truly belong to God. I'm in a place of servitude. I lower my own self to make sure that I can give every mankind what they need, no matter what race, no matter what religion, no matter what background and upbringing that occurred in their life, I'm able to lower myself to do what needs to be done, because it's not me in the first place. If we can come off of the high mountain and come down into the valley, then we're able to plow and deliver someone from in that circumstance through the words and the testimony that comes out of our mouth. Verse number 20, and unto the Jews I became as a Jew, that I might gain the Jews. To them that are under the law, as under the law, that I might gain them that are under the law. Meaning that those people who are held in bondage, come on somebody. If they're held in bondage, then I'm the one who can help set them free through the word of God, through the deliverance of God's testimony in my life, the situations and the things that he's changed about me that have allowed me to experience his power and his freedom, that have allowed my mind to be reset into the things of God. We're talking about the maintenance of the lawn. We're talking about the maintenance of the things that we plow and the expectation of the soil covered land that has been planted around us. Everything that we touch, the feeling of something green, the fresh smell of something new, the turning over of the leaves as they fall from the trees. We think about the upkeep, the lawn maintenance. Are we reading and studying the word? Are we doing what we need to do for the substance of the word? Are we in a place where God is receiving from us and yet pouring out into us? He's plowing right along with us. I want to talk about the next few things when I was studying, and I found the 4 types of maintenance. There's 4 types of maintenance. The first type is the corrective type. It's the corrective type. When something is out of order, or malfunctioning, there comes a time where we have to restore it back. We have to bring back the parts that may be not working completely. It takes it back to the normal operating conditions so that it can produce. So I told you on the other night that when the laying of the hands happens, there's a replay that begins to go forth, and you find yourself in a repentant state where you're asking God for forgiveness because of the things that have come up against you, and some of the wrong decisions that we made when we were younger, some of the people that we may have wronged, we may run into. And when I sense about the maintenance of the thing in that corrective state, it comes to put me back into a place of functionality where I realize that the imperfectionism that dwells on the inside of me has to be corrected in order for me to move forward into the next place in God, into the far greater place that he has to me. I want to be restored back before the pain. Come on, somebody. I want to be restored back to the joy days of my youth. Okay, come on. Before all the molestation, before the alcoholism, before the sexual encounters, before the impurities hit our mind, when we were actually living in a state of purity. If you want to talk to a child and get the truth, talk to a young child and know that their mouth is not contaminated. The things that they tell you are raw truth. They're oftentimes uncut because they can only speak what they see until man contaminates them with their own personal thoughts, with their own personal being. And when that begins to happen, then that soil becomes fertilized with junk. It becomes full of things that are contaminating. It has a fungus growing in it. There's no corrective to that. Sometimes you got to pull up all the grass and start over. Sometimes you have to apply a weed killer and other fertile antifungals that will go into the ground and begin to uproot the very things that you said were beautiful at one time. Come on, we didn't recognize how foul we were. We didn't recognize the fungus that we had. We didn't recognize the disgruntledness or the bad attitude or the funky looks that we would give people because we had no perception that there was something contaminated us. So we needed that corrective. We needed that place to be brought back to us so that we could start over again, so that we could begin to love all people, regardless of their color, race, or religion, regardless of the way they spelled their name, regardless of the way that they pronounce things. Potato, potato. It doesn't matter. It's still a potato. It's still a potato. It's a tomato. We grew up with that dialect that was different in certain countries, and understanding that when I say one thing, I may say bathroom, they say restroom. Well, a bathroom has a bathtub. Come on, somebody. A restroom has a toilet and a sink. As we mature, we learn that these things have meaning and they have understanding, but it's all about our perception. It's all about the way we receive it, the correctiveness of what we've been taught. Let's move on to preventative. There's a place where we're talking about the 4 types of maintenance, and preventative is a predetermined interval of function in parts A predetermined interval of examining the function in parts. Excuse me, I left that word out. Predetermined interval of examining function in parts. The speed and ability to complete the task. Checking the belts, checking the engine, checking the wheels that turn, the pulley system of whatever it is that's in your life that keeps you going, your inner drive. Eliminate a total loss by doing the preventative care, making sure that things are oiled. What does that mean? That means studying our word. That means pulling us into all truth. That means that we take time to read scripture, to meditate, and to pray. That we take time to hear from God. What is it that he's saying that is pertinent to where we are? What is it that he's saying that brings us into a far greater understanding? We're looking for a place where we are exercising the preventative care. You want to prevent something from breaking. What do? You maintain it. You begin to correct the little things that don't look right. You begin to change out belts. You begin to start the car and allow it to warm up. It's a preventative method from causing a block to blow later on down the road because you didn't let the engine warm up. Come on, somebody. So if we didn't take time to stir up our own spirit, we didn't take time to clear the clutter in our own mind, then we were able to put ourselves in a place where it won't take much for us to blow up. Come on. It won't take much for us to be in a state of malfunction. It won't take much for us to be in a state where we forget the compassion and we begin to lash out at one another. Come on. Or we lash out at the person who we're trying to help because we don't have the patience and the endurance to deal with it. We're talking about 4 types of maintenance. We talked about corrective. We talked about preventative. Now we're going to talk about the risk-based, risk-based based maintenance. Risk-based maintenance. It's an analytical portion. It's a place where we analyze the data that we gather from the machine working. So we're looking back and saying, when we had night 1 of the revival, what was it that I could teach on differently on tonight? The environment. Was it receptive? Was it able to hear? Was it in a place where it was seasoned to understand the word? Or was it somebody who was completely green and had no knowledge of Jesus Christ? Where are we with the audience that we speak to? Where are we when we pour out into the people? Do they gain understanding and wisdom? Do they come back and give you an affirmation to say, what you said to me actually had impact, that it was the one that you were talking to, that was me, that I receive it and I want to make the change? The operation and the process, the risk-based maintenance. Is it effective in what we're doing? The process of the condition of the equipment in the system. Is it working? The computer working? Is there a new programming code that we missed? Is there something on Google that has changed that we don't have access anymore? Determine what it takes for investment and begin to maintain the updating, the investment. Well, that may mean I need to go back to school. That may mean that I need to read some books. That may mean that I need to expound more time in prayer. It's a whole lot to the risk-based assessment. What is it that I need to grow in? We're updating the worn out outputs through refurbishing and replacing, refurbishing, being rebuilt, going back to the old things and studying them the more to be more certain of them, to be more tuned in to what they mean. We're looking for the replacement parts that have worn out, the fatigue and the day-to-day worry about COVID-19, understanding that we must release our mind in order to be most effective. Come on, I'm almost done. This is the last one that I have for you. We had corrective, the 4 types of maintenance, preventative, and then we had risk-based, and now we're going to talk about the conditional-based maintenance. The conditional-based maintenance, the performance that monitors and controls the necessary corrective actions taken to keep optimum function. This is conditional-based maintenance. Performance, monitoring, and control of the necessary corrective actions taken to keep optimum function. I want it running on 100. Come on, somebody. Fatigue, weariness, depression, or oppression versus joy, temperance, patience, and peace. Which one do you want? The renewing of our mind is through the process. The renewing of our mind is through the book. We talked about the process the other day. We talked about the ability to plow and receive a harvest for the plowing, understanding that we can't muzzle the oxen. We can't muzzle the mouth of the one that's pouring into us. Let's go back to our closing scripture, verse number 10. He that ploweth should plow in hope. We want to feel the fulfillment of what it is that we're seeking. We want to understand that the conditional based maintenance means that when I feel burnout, I should have enough will to pull back and regroup. Come on, when you feel the burnout, when you feel like you're at the end of your rope, when you feel like you just can't push anymore and nobody's there to push you, then that's the time that we go prostrate. Come on, or we take a mountain and we go up on the mountain and we spend time with the Lord to be restored in our own mind, that we can move the things of COVID that are wearing us down, and we begin to focus more on the word and the promises of what God has given us, the rescue of who he is. We have to finish strong. We can't wait in a situation to say, well, I'll preach that next year. You don't know who the word is for now. Release what God has given you. Begin to pour out into the people that need to hear the very thing that you have. Begin to position yourself so that those who are hungering and thirsting, not only after righteousness, but understanding, give them the knowledge, give them the word of knowledge that they need to overcome every trial and tribulation. Give them the word of insight, the word, the Rhema word, the word that came directly from the kingdom and the throne itself. What was it that was within that word to pour out and to cover the people? You're plowing because you're creating an atmosphere. You're turning up some soil that's uncomfortable. Watch the attitudes of the people around you. Don't be afraid to say, hey, hold on 1 second. Because when COVID happened, everybody was at peace. Come on. Everybody was being nice to one another. You were letting cars in. You were in the grocery store. No, you take the card. No, you take the card. No, you can have that loaf of bread. Come on. Where is the kindness? Where are the things that we were pushed to do back in March? They should still be manifesting, and even in a greater way. The maintenance of who I am as an individual. My ability to stay in God's face, to say, hey, correct me. Check me for what I'm doing wrong. Check me for the words that I say. Check me for what I'm releasing from my spirit that may not align to your word. Come on. Come on, I'm living in a place where my hands were made to plow. I'm maintaining the yard and the vineyard that I've been given. I'm maintaining my thought process. I'm keeping my mind on things that are holy and not things that are degrading. Come on, we have to come up. We have to be able to love one another. We have to be able to compliment one another, regardless of Jew or Gentile, regardless of race, nationality, age, whatever may beset you to look at that person differently. It's time to break it up. It's time to break up that fallow ground with the plow of forgiveness, with the plow of repentance, with a plow of sacrifice, with a plow of sanctification. Come on, are you ready to do something different? We've tried the same old thing and it's not working. So are we ready to do something different? Are we ready to plow into an unknown territory, to go back to who we were created to be from the beginning? This has been Bishop Robin Watson out of Houston, Texas. I just wanted to come on tonight and give you night number 3 of the revival. We will continue on tomorrow night, 8:00 p.m. I hope to see you here. I hope that the word that's coming forth is helping you to make changes. It's helping you to identify the areas that may be dark in your life and to seek for something far better than what has been. Y'all have a wonderful night. See you tomorrow at 8:00.